Good morning, everyone. Just for a moment, let's be blown wide open with no rising eye, just pure being. No past, no future. None of the movements of the personal self. Just for a moment, make it easy. It's natural to have some ideas that when you recognize this no thing, and if you recognize inherent in that is peace and silence and all of that, to have the idea that maybe that should always be the case, and that there should not be any movements of the body-mind. But clearly that's not true in your own experience. The body is the experiencing entity. It's that which experiences. If it was only intended to experience pleasant things, then that's all it would experience. But clearly, that's not all it was intended to experience. Anything and everything will happen to the body. Pains, contractions, etcetera. The body itself is a contraction itself. Of course, it's a limitation. And so there are all kinds of things happening. And sometimes there are very extreme things happening in the body, some illnesses or pains that are extreme. There can be things like trigeminal disease, which I know is unbearably painful. And there can be any number of other pains and illnesses and contractions and cancers. And so when an extreme acute pain is happening in the body, then to expect to experience or feel the peace and stillness of your essential being is not realistic, is it? When not much is happening and you're sitting around on holiday, nice, not much happening in the mind, not much happening in the body, then it's very easy to recognize that peace and stillness and to get the idea that a holiday means that that's going to happen always. And that's not true. A holiday just simply means that I know that I am. And if there's a toothache, there's a toothache, and I know that I am. And there won't be the experience of peace and silence, there will be the experience of a toothache. But the knowing that I am will still be the same. Ramana Maharshi died of cancer. He had a tumor in his arm, and it was very painful. And it has been written that there were nights where he would be heard in his room where he slept, moaning and crying out in pain. That's Ramana Maharshi, And according to him, according to the ideas of that work, he knows he's not the body. And yet the body still cried out in pain. He cried out in pain. A holiday is not a panacea to feel good in every moment. It certainly is a very good way to alleviate a lot or all of the psychological suffering we endure because of just the bad habit of believing that story and going into it. So now we have an alternative, and we can come out into the sun instead of going into that story and being infatuated with that. And so psychological suffering can be greatly alleviated or completely. The suffering of past traumas as well can be greatly alleviated. Because all of that is, the story aspect of all of that is temporal and evanescent. It just comes and goes in the mind. The somatic aspects of that are something different, of course, Those are in the body. And those are slower to rise and slower to subside as well. Thoughts can stop, like now. But sensations in the body and emotions are much slower. And so the somatic aspects of trauma, for example, when they arise, they may last for a while. But they're given fuel, tremendous amount of fuel, to keep themselves going because of the story attached to it. The mind going into it again and again, going over it. That fuels the sensorial, somatic aspect of the trauma. When you take your foot off the gas pedal, the fuel to that stops. And that means coming out into the sun, a holiday, take your foot off the gas pedal. And then that somatic aspect has time to slow down, soften. But there are other things too, extreme disease that cause acute pain that really, in and of themselves, have nothing to do with the psychology. What to do about those? Really nothing you can do about it. I mean, yes, you can take practical medical steps to help, of course, and one should do that. But even in extreme pain, one can still know that they are, but not with the hope it's going to alleviate the pain or anything like that. And just general contractions of the body that happen. There's some challenge in life or whatever, an argument, whatever it might be, and then the body tenses up. That kind of thing can be greatly helped with holidays. In the midst of a contracted sensation of the body where you feel tense or anxiety or something, get real for a moment. Come into the sun of pure being and really just be there. And I know it's not spiritually correct to say, but in a way, ignore those contractions. In favor of attending to pure being, your own most intimate self. And then in that, there is no rising I here, no ego here, trying to get rid of that contraction, thinking there's something wrong. In the moment of a holiday, the rising I that has those ideas is not here. Then there's pure being and maybe some contraction in the body. But resting more and more as pure being can certainly loosen that, for sure. But if you have a serious illness, cancer or trigeminal or some other serious medical things that are extremely painful, well, it's not nice, but that's what is. And you may be moaning and shouting in pain, of course. Likely I would as well. But now, hopefully, nothing too extreme is going on for you. So let's have a holiday. And let's, be with this moment now without referring to the body at all. Just unborn being with no rising I here for a moment. That's really all I wanted to say about that particular topic. And it's good to be with you. I'll be back again tomorrow. Peace.